Hey, what's good, beautiful people? My name's Rel, and I'm a senior creative strategist. I'm passionate about helping brands make an impact in the digital world and also teaming up with content creators on social to help brands come up with awesome and relatable stories that capture people's attention. And today we're going to be diving into AIDA and how to decode it. The agenda really is about understanding AIDA, what it means, what it is, connecting those metrics to the stages in the funnel, decoding the combinations, which is going to be a bulk of what we talk about, just the different type of combinations that you can see in the AIDA funnel, and then some potential implications there, what you can do, takeaways, and then just to wrap up. AIDA is a framework. AIDA is not just a catchy name. It's really the backbone of successful advertising. The AIDA framework is a foundational concept that you'll find in marketing and advertising that represents the stages that a consumer goes through in their journey from awareness to action. Now, it stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. And attention is really about creating a compelling and eye-catching introduction that makes people stop scrolling or browsing and then really lock in and pay attention to the message that you're trying to give them. And interest is the next stage in it. And it's about providing information or content that really resonates with the audience, that's going to keep them engaged and wanting to learn more about what you have to say or what you are offering. And then you move on to desire, which is about shifting from wanting to learn more to I gotta have this, I need this. And then you have action, which is the final stage. And it's really about prompting a specific action. So this could be a purchase, this could be sign up for a newsletter or anything in that nature that's going to engage in some other desired behavior that you wish for. Now, when we're talking about the AIDA funnel, there are different phases of it and different metrics that go to it. And so when you're looking at the attention, that's going to be a thumb star ratio. That's going to be, your 3-second view over impression. And so this is the metric that's going to tell you how are you grabbing people's attention. It's going to say, like, hey, this is what percent of people we get to stop their thumbs, essentially. This is probably my primary focus when I iterate, because that's always the first step for me. Then I move down to interest, which is a combination of average watch time or through play retention. Now, average watch time, that's just how long somebody watched the ad. Through play retention, that's going to show us how well we are keeping their attention through the creative. And this is primarily the secondary driver of my iterations. Then as I move down the funnel, there's desire, which I primarily use outbound click-through rate for that, but I want to get a little bit nitty-gritty. I also use click-to-purchase ratio, add-to-cart ratio, add-to-cart-to-purchase ratio, things of that nature. And then action, ultimately, is ROAS. Now, when it comes to the different combinations, I see a ton of combinations as far as how these could play out. I got quite a few of those in here. I'm not going to kind of go super in depth for all of them, but I do want to say these ads, they do have metrics that correspond to these titles. I did not put the metrics on here out of respect for the brands. And also I want to note that like AIDA is kind of subjective when you're talking about the action portion of it, for example, because the ROAS for one brand could be 3, and that's a great ROAS for that brand. But then the ROAS for another brand could be 50, which these are clients that I have, and that is low for that brand. But I did pull these ads because they are rated in these categories. So I want to be transparent there, and I want to also be respectful for those brands. Now, so when you talk about high attention, low interest, low desire, low action, this right here is my first step. I'll say, hey, you're on the right direction. You're on the right path. There's no need to kind of get down about it, because if you can get a solid attention, then you can just tweak everything else underneath. That tells you, hey, my first 3 seconds are okay, and it's successful in grabbing that attention. Now, the overall ad may lack a compelling narrative, but that's easy to kind of start working in, and that's easy to optimize. And so things like that, you just want to refine your script, refine your storyboard, test different versions of it, and try to captivate that narrative in a way that's going to boost up that interest, or that's going to boost up that desire. And that's typically how I use this type of ad to kind of facilitate where I go next. I always go to the next level, which is the interest. and then kind of iterate from there. Now there's an ad with low attention, high interest, low desire, low action. Now this one right here is telling me like, hey, despite a slow start, whatever we're talking about is interesting for people. So that sell sequence in the middle is pretty interesting. However, it doesn't invoke people to purchase. It doesn't invoke no desire. And so there's something missing. Maybe I'm not speaking on the features or benefits enough. Maybe I don't have a call to action in there. There are certain specific elements that I'm doing that is not working on the tail end of it. But as far as what I'm talking about and how I am narrating that story, it is pretty good. Now, also, it needs work at the beginning. And so for the low attention, I always start with attention in all these metrics. And so my first iteration will be an attention iteration. I'll try to boost attention, keep the sell sequence, and see kind of how that plays out. Because I am a big believer that attention is like 80% of the ad. And then once you get attention, and if your interest is high, then, your other metrics should boost. Now, if there is no call to action in there, and I do know that, I will go ahead and tweak that. But if there's already a call to action in there, I'll focus on changing 3 different variations of an intro hook and go forward with that. Now I have an ad that's high attention, high interest, high desire, low action. This one right here tells me, hey, the ad is crushing, but there's some things that may be off. And so how I typically look at this, a couple things might happen is, one, sticker shock. So maybe there's not a price in the ad and they click through and they're excited about the product when they see the price and they like, whoa, that's a no-go for me. So might try that as far as presenting the value in the ad. Another thing could be the synergy. Is the ad translating well enough where when you go to the landing page and what's in the ad is also translated on the landing page? Is it synergizing? A lot of times things that are on in the ad is captivating. You go to the landing page and it's confusing. So you want to optimize your landing page there. Another thing about that landing page is which page is it going to? Because it might be going to the home page when it could go to a PDP. So these are things that you want to look at when you have that low action, but you have everything else that is good. Because it may not necessarily be the ad in that case. But also what you can do is make sure you're conducting A/B tests on the call to actions. Are we using the right call to action that's going to evoke the purchase intent? You just want to make sure you optimize the conversion process for that. And the last thing is consideration on where at in the funnel are you? Because if this is a prospecting and the process takes a little bit longer to purchase, then that might have something to do with that low action, and you might have to target them and retargeting. So that's kind of how I think about those type of ads. This is actually not a bad spot to be in. You're just like one step away. Then you have the high low. So you have the high attention, the low interest, the high desire, and the low action. And so it's telling me like, hey, we do a good job at capturing them. They actually want the product. But then there's things that get into this way. And so maybe I don't have the call to action in there that I need. Maybe the sell sequence in the middle doesn't exactly hit on the narrative how I want it to hit. And it's not meshing with my target audience. And so what I essentially do is focus on that sell sequence to try to create a more seamless, engaging narrative to make sure that I capitalize on that existing high desire. And so I may experiment with the different ways I tell the story. I may experience with the different text I use. I may experience with the different talent or how I'll piece it together, like the benefits and the features in it. And with that, I'll see kind of how I can boost up that interest. So ultimately, my attention is high, my desire is high, so I want to boost up that interest. And me boosting up that interest, I'm expecting a positive correlation to go with the action. Then I have that high, low, low. So that tells me like the first 2 parts, I created an engaging ad as far as it's attention grabbing and is engaging. However, maybe I left out a call to action, or maybe I didn't create a compelling call to action, or it's not really, meshing with the audience. And ultimately, you can kind of see the action will follow suit. So essentially, I'm going to focus on the CTR. I'm going to focus on that click-through rate. How can I boost up that click-through rate? What can I do to ensure that we get more people clicking through and wanting a product? That's really just a messaging refinement process to emphasize the compelling aspects of the product. So really lean in on those unique selling points, those features, those benefits, and create that, hey, I need this. I got to have this. That is what I'm focused on there. And then you'll see a low attention, low interest, high desire, low action. And so for this one, it's a product that people want, they need. However, maybe the awareness, the engagement is not there in the ad. You do a good job as far as selling the product, as far as like the compelling aspect of it, the features, benefits, but the engagement, the entertainment side of things is probably not there. Maybe it's how the talent in the ad is actually voiced over or vocalizing it. Maybe it's how natural the ad feels, but there's a little bit of things that you can do to kind of experiment with it. But the goal is, that people want this product. It's about how can we get them more excited to want the product or be more aware of the product, more so than anything. And then you have low attention, high interest, low desire, high action. This is low, high, low, high. And so essentially, I'm always going to start again, iterating on the attention. But what this tells me is that, hey, there is interest in the product and the action is in the product. So the sell sequence is doing good where they're interested, they want to learn more. They actually are finishing the ad. And out of those who finish the ad, the click-through rate is low, but the action is high. So that's telling me the ones who finish the ad, they go on, click through. And out of those who click through, they're more likely to convert. It's not essentially a bad spot to be in, but if you boost that attention up, even if that desire stays low, I consider this one of a good weed out ad. And the reason why it's a good weed out ad is because the people who watch the full ad or watch most of the ad and they go to click through, they're more likely to convert. So I can get more people stopping on it, then that action can potentially stay high. And so I'll always focus on, the thumb stop first, see how that helps the ad. And if I see that ROAS kind of fall down, then I'll work on the click-through rate, the desire. Definitely want to leverage the high action responses here. All right, and so these some other scenarios. You have like the low across the board, and essentially that's a trash ad. You can start with attention if you want, but I mean, you might just want to go back to the drawing board. And then you have the low, high, high. And essentially that's not really a bad place to be in. I would just say just look at and conduct market research there and take whatever is creating that need and whatever is driving that action and try to craft a compelling thumb stop. And so use that to generate insights to refine your attention and your interest. Then you have low, which again, most of these are going to be crafting that attention grabbing for all of these. And then you have a low attention, low interest, low desire, and high action. Now this one right here is that's a motivated buyer. And so I think you can just have fun with that ad. And that's probably the product. It don't really matter what product. I mean, how you I'm not saying how you, it doesn't matter how you structure ad, but I'm saying in this case, you can structure the ad strategically in a way where you don't have to be too, worried about what to change. You can change something and see how it is. You can start with attention, or you can just completely switch up the sell sequence and see how does that help. Now, the goal is, how do we turn insights into actions? So I want you to think about your ad being a recipe. And in that, you have different components of it, the AIDA funnel, the metrics that are essentially ingredients. And now, if your final dish doesn't taste right, you just adjust the ingredients. So for example, if my outbound CTR, my desire was low, well, let me change my call to action and watch and see how that just really affects anything. And so what I have is the different type of tests you can do for the different metrics. And so the thumb start ratio, that's going to be the hook test. The sell sequence test, you're going to look at the through play retention, average watch time, click-through rate. And in the call to action test, you're going to be looking at the metrics that are click-through rate, ROAS, and then add to cart, things of that nature. And then the things you can change, obviously you can change the visuals and audios, and some of them are music, text and font colors, the transitions. But also there's things like the talent. You can swap out the talent. And then also things outside of the ad, like the landing pages, you can test and change. and then call to actions are others. Now, achieving high attention, high interest, high desire, and high action isn't just the end goal, because you're supposed to continue to be iterating, continue to optimize. Now it's the manifestation of an effective and impactful creative strategy. Once you get this, it shows like the journey where each element of the AIDA is not just a step, but a crucial chapter in compelling that story. And so what you'll see is when you actually hone in on this, that there'll be a seamless progression. Like you will see each stage and how it naturally leads to the next, which creates a cohesive and persuasive narrative. And then also you'll see the emotional resonance of the audience. So as you try to foster that desire, you'll understand kind of how the effective storytelling can really contribute to that genuine connection and what the audience really care about. And then this is going to help you really optimize your conversions. So you'll be able to understand the conversion process, understand that buyer's cycle a little bit better, and what gets them to actually purchase and click through and all that other stuff. And then lastly, this is going to help you scale your accounts immensely if you hone in on it. Now, just to wrap this up, when you're talking about building your creative in mind, remember that the key to using AIDA is the ability to understand the story your metrics are telling you about your audience. And so it's not just about the numbers, it's about interpreting the engagement, interest, desire of your audience. And when you kind of unravel this narrative, you gain the ability to refine your audience strategy. And then when you're talking about using the data to help navigate the story, the AIDA is like a magnifying glass. They provide like nuanced insights at every stage of your audience's journey, from capturing their attention to sparking interest, building desire, and then driving action. And so each of these metrics are going to unveil a different facet of engagement. And so by recognizing these subtleties, you can tweak your approach accordingly, ensuring a tailored strategy that will resonate with your audience on a deeper level. And then you want to consistently iterate. And so the digital landscape is dynamic and audience preferences are ever evolving. So constant iteration based on metrics is essential, because there is no one size fit all solution. I mean, TikTok changed so much and what worked yesterday might not work tomorrow for sure. But by staying agile and responsive to the data, you can adapt your strategies and refine your content and consistently meet your audience where they are in the journey. And that's what's really the most important thing. And then so, that's essentially it. I want to thank you for being a part of today's session. Please connect with me, share your experiences, stay tuned for more insights on creative strategy. And until next time, stay safe, keep creating, and God bless. Peace.